I'm very glad that I'm able to be here today, and it's always nice to see such a diverse representation of different communities across the EU. So, as you know, I hope you know, the Commission is planning to adopt a revised bioeconomy strategy by the end of this year. Well, given that, I'm not going to give you any specific spoilers, so I don't get into trouble. But I'm going to give you, some, a taste of the thinking that the Commission has, and also mainly based on the stakeholder input that we have received so far. So this is a significant task. I'm sure you know that as well, because bioeconomy is not just any sector, so it is a sector that really touches every aspect of our way of life. From across all the different value chains, rural, local, coastal communities, and it touches really on every citizen. Well, given that wide impact that the bioeconomy has, it is clear also that the bioeconomy strategy, the thinking that we have, is guided and is also connected to many critical policy initiatives of this Commission. And so, in particular, I wanted to highlight these three that have been adopted at the beginning of this Commission's political mandate and really set the scene for what their objectives have. And so all these three political instruments, so competitiveness compass, clean industrial deal, the vision for agriculture and food, recognize the critical role of the bioeconomy in increasing the competitiveness of Europe, increasing our ability to decarbonize our economies also in a competitive way, and pointing out to that untapped potential that the bioeconomy has through the diversification of the different value streams, valorizing our biomass as much as possible, keep it in the economy for as long as possible, and simultaneously also create jobs. Now, there will be other initiatives that are linked to bioeconomy, just because it is so cross-sectoral. There will also be some legislative measures that the Commission is thinking about. They have been announced, such as the Biotic Act. So there will be something to follow up and contribute as the weeks and months and years maybe pass. Now, why is the bioeconomy so important now? You know, bioeconomy is gaining momentum worldwide. We know that over 60 countries in the world have bioeconomy strategies or related policy instruments that really put the bioeconomy central to economic growth and innovation. And we know that our competitors are also moving really rapidly in this area. So be it the United States, China, Brazil or India, they all have very strong bioeconomy strategies that are really embedded in their industrial policies. So this bioeconomy is also a topic that is raised in different international fora. So G20 under the Brazil presidency, also the FAO has recently been engaged in a stakeholder consultation to gather views to support a multi-stakeholder bioeconomy partnership on bioeconomy and food. So, as we're moving away from fossil-based economies, the demand for bio-based materials is growing, and it is projected to rapidly increase globally. So that means that there's also a very high and important economic potential. The estimates of the current value of the bioeconomy is around $4 trillion US dollars, and by some estimates by 2050 this may raise up to 30 trillion. So this is a big pie, and what is important that Europe has a significant share of it, and that we are part of the leaders, not the followers, in this area. Well, I think the big question is really, biomass. Do we have it? So there is an increasing demand for it, increasing demand for competing needs. Do we have enough of it? So we also know that the current resource use has been increasing over centuries, and it is the main driver for the triple planetary crisis that we are in today. And our leading scientific and financing institutions at global level, but certainly European level, are realizing that our economies are largely dependent on the services that the natural ecosystems provide. So, and when we look at the different risk parameters for businesses, also in the medium term and certainly in the long term, if you look at the top lists of those risks, the environmental risks are really at the top. And so this is particularly relevant for the bioeconomy, which is directly dependent on the biological resources. So given the projections for the demand of biomass, there is a critical question really, do we have enough of it? And so there have been several studies in the past years from different parts of academia and industry. They have different results, but I think there's one common conclusion, that there is a gap in what can be produced and what is the demand, and what can be produced sustainably. So this is a key question for our bioeconomy strategy, and for the creation of resilient value chains in the EU. So this, of course, is a challenge, but we should see it also as an opportunity for our primary producers and our industries. So sustainability has to be at the heart of the bioeconomy if we want to have a resilient bioeconomy. So no country can achieve this by itself, so that's why it is extremely important for us to be continuously engaging with the member states, with the regions, with the industry, to learn about the best practices and share how to better go about this, and how to better collaborate, how to better prepare and address risks. So, as part of this process for revising the strategy, we've engaged extensively with our stakeholders. So this, in fact, has been the biggest stakeholder engagement we've had on the bioeconomy file as such. In the past, at least at the Commission level, this was rather a research strategy engine than a policy one, which is where it currently stands in our agenda. And so we've had quite significant feedback from the primary producers and the industry stakeholders. And also from member states and regions. So there have been quite a number of even dedicated position papers submitted through the regions. When it comes to maybe the simplest message that we can take from this feedback is that the big majority replied that what they want to see in the strategy is how that it should increase and help increase the circularity and resource efficiency across the bioeconomy value chains, and that we need to foster environmentally sustainable production and use of biomass. Now, in the next few slides, I want to quickly glance over what are the main challenges and barriers, and maybe some recommendations that this process has given us as food for thought. So there was a quite clear alignment on the topics that were most commonly raised by the stakeholders. And so what comes clearly is that on financing and investment for innovation and for scale-up capacities, the stakeholders have identified a number of barriers that point to innovation gaps and gaps in terms of the framework that support scale-up. So the big question is how to address the Death Valley for scaling up. They also point out clearly the challenges linked to the level playing field between bio-based products and fossil-based products that is a big issue to develop the markets. So challenges in relation to market entry, demand creation, again, unfair competition that hampers us to prioritize high-value applications over low-value applications or energy use, which is really important to bring that value also locally back. There were also clear messages on the importance of regional cooperation across the value chains and across the different sectors. There were concerns about sustainable supply, as I said in my previous slide. The data is out there, and that is certainly a concern for anybody engaged in biomass use. So in terms of sustainable supply, one clear message that came through is in terms of the clarity and simplicity of sustainability criteria. We have quite a few of them at the EU. And as our simplification agenda shows, we do agree that there is a level of complexity that needs to be looked into, in particular to address our resilience concerns and competitiveness concerns. There was also points raised in relation to the international fora, and so what are our links with trade relations, also in view of competitiveness and level playing field for our producers and investors in the EU. Skills education, raising awareness, and how we manage the data is also something that came out quite prominently from the different stakeholders. Now, based on that, what we take back from that is that there are indeed certain key barriers that should be addressed. I mean, we can group them in certain in certain way. So in relation to regulatory barriers, so for several bio-based sector, there were quite clear indications of what are the issues with the regulatory framework. In particular, we received a lot of suggestions in relation to how the absence of standards for certain key groups is a challenge, such as textiles, for example. Clearly, the stakeholders point out financial and investment barriers. So this is really the key the key barrier. What they point out really is the lack of risk-sharing tools. They point out issues with familiarity with different EU financing tools, private investment tools that are also closely then linked to bio-based technologies and the different difficulties that they face when bringing products to the market. I mentioned the concerns concerning the Valley of the Death. So how do you bring the upscaling technologies to the market, which requires high upfront capital needs for refineries or fermentation. In terms of unfair competition, I think there stakeholders, but also we have to recognize that this is a difficult issue to address, given the existing advantages that the EU, but also outside the EU, have in our existing tax systems, product rules, and different price systems, which result in a higher price point for bio-based materials and products compared to fossil-based. There were also quite clear messages in terms of sector-specific regulatory hurdles linked to long approval processes, particularly for biopesticides, and other barriers in relation to fertilizers or generally permitting issues. And we also received and were able to identify different product-specific barriers, because we are looking at what are our lead markets in the EU, and what are the products that we can really facilitate for the scaling up. And there were quite good examples in relation to textiles in terms of how sustainability criteria that really can give a competitive advantage to natural materials, for example, if you factor in microplastic pollution. Another example is biopesticides, where there was clear reasons where our producers are at a disadvantage given the slower approach to the authorization procedures. Now, based on that, also quite clearly we have some recommendations that came through. Now, they largely match the difficulties that the stakeholders have identified they face. So with regards to addressing the investment gap, there is a clear demand for a targeted funding for bioeconomy. There is a clear recommendation to address the complex regulatory barriers, so streamlining, simplifying, harmonizing, so generally making the regulatory framework more predictable for the investors. And also to improve the public-private partnerships. In terms of market demand, so again, clear message that we need to create demand-side measures, so policy, but legislative measures, in particular thinking of public procurement rules that really facilitate the uptake of bio-based materials and products. And then, in terms of where we should target these measures, we should do it for those biomass types that can be used for multiple high-value applications. In terms of sustainability criteria and sustainability overall, again, based on the fact that there's quite comprehensive sustainability regulation at the EU when it comes to biomass production, there was still a call for the need for an EU-wide sustainability criteria certification schemes that are simple and that cover all biomass production irrespective of their uses. And again, public procurement has been mentioned as one key tool to address that. Now, this feedback, of course, is instrumental for the Commission when we are thinking of the different actions in the strategy. And overall, it matches the assessment that we have also done internally. Now, just maybe in a few words more on what we are really thinking based on this input. So overall, I think in terms of our objectives, again, they have been already outlined quite clearly in these key documents adopted earlier this year. So again, overall, the objective will be to enhance the long-term competitiveness and the industrial leadership of the EU. And we should be able to demonstrate that the EU welcomes and fosters the bio-based economy and biotechnology innovation. A key objective of the strategy is also to ensure secure supply of biomass that is sustainably sourced. Again, without that, we cannot speak of a resilient bioeconomy and resilient value chains. And of course, ultimately, the objective is to create local jobs in the EU. Now, looking more now into what could be that response to the challenges that the stakeholders have identified. So in terms of bringing innovations to the market, so what we are certainly looking is how to address the two valleys of death, as they're called, where the financing gap is threatening the scale-up and the market entry. So there's one aspect, there's one phase where we want to bring the pilots to industrial scale, and then there's a second phase where we want to support the successful innovators to really respond to a rapid growth need. And this is where we confirm that there is an issue, because the financing needs are really much greater than the venture capital capacity. And this is exacerbated by market fragmentation, the regulatory complexity, as well as security of supply questions. So in Europe, we do not have an issue with startups and cooperatives. They are developing every day. What we do have a problem is an issue that they remain too small. So the scaling up is really the greatest challenge, and that's where we aim to put an emphasis in our strategy. And so, we need to ensure that there is a framework, regulatory policy framework, that ensures that these investments are flowing, that there's a clear signal that in Europe we do welcome biosolutions. Now, simplification is part of an answer. It's not the only answer. That regulatory framework has to give those incentives to make sure that we make sustainable choices and we discourage linear choices. In terms of the lead markets, so our strategy will try to aim to identify and promote lead markets. So those are markets where bio-based innovations have the highest potential for economic growth and added value, for scalability, and also where they have the lowest environmental impact. We're also looking at how to tackle the increasing competition for biomass and the need for improving our efficiencies in the way we manage it. And so we think that we should be thinking in cascades, so really prioritizing the use for high-value applications, reuse, recycling before we consider storing it for energy or use as energy. And we're also looking at how to explore, how to exploit better the synergies through the new technologies between these different uses, so the food, material, and energy uses. So this is how we think we can bring higher value back to the primary producers and local processing industry. In terms of sustainable supply, well, we don't have much choice given the state of our ecosystems, which over many decades show a negative trend. So it's clear that biomass has to be produced in a sustainable way so that the ecosystems can generate. So if that doesn't happen, we really, we lose the resources and we lose our resilience and strategic autonomy. So our goal is to support a bioeconomy that delivers ecosystem services for output, not as a byproduct, but really as a business model. And very clear link also here will be with the vision for agriculture and food. So we want to ensure that farmers who protect soil and enhance biodiversity are rewarded for that, so that they see the investment for their efforts, and that this should be supported by the whole value chain. Similarly, also companies that design and produce products that are more circular, sustainable, biodegradable, that they do get the necessary support to scale up. In relation to the global perspective, we're also looking at that. We are dealing with global value chains. We are dealing with sensitive geopolitical situations. So we want to ensure that the EU is one where we can invest at home, but also abroad to ensure the sustainability across the global value chains. Now, I have a few minutes left, but I wanted to just point out.
You can close gradually.
Yes, we last slide. So I just wanted to also give you a quick snapshot of the lead markets that we're looking into. So this comes from the stakeholder inputs, but also our own assessments and analysis in terms of what are those high potential sectors. And so this list gives you an idea of that. I mean, traditionally the bioeconomy is associated to pharmaceuticals and food production, but there are certain multiple sectors, including textiles, construction, and chemicals, that are expanding also rapidly and have that potential. We think that this diversification will be able to open new markets and enhance our economic resilience. So what we're talking really about is agri-biotech sector, so bio-based materials, biomanufacturing, biochemicals that have a significant economic value potential. We're talking generally about agricultural sector, where there is a high potential still to diversify the income sources for farmers and add value, both in terms of agriculture and forestry. In forestry in particular, there is a potential to diversify woody biomass in link with a different type of forestry that is more adapted to the climate change and other pressures that it faces. But there's also a growth potential in the non-wood forestry sector to add significantly to the value of the forests. And of course, very prominently is the chemical industry, which is a critical enabler for this transition, because it acts as an intermediary sector to bridge multiple value chains. So with that, I will stop. I hope it gives you some idea of what our challenges are and what we really are facing in this strategy. So I will stop here, and let's wait and see what it will bring us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Silvija, for this quite comprehensive presentation of the new bioeconomy strategy from European Commission, the consultation behind that, all the challenges, recommendations that you have already mentioned. So it's quite detailed, and also what I have in mind that we have to move to a sort of scaling up at cell level, so that also that the bioeconomy is becoming a business model as such, and not to stay at the pilot level. Okay, you have left, otherwise I would have given the possibility to have one or two questions, but Silvija has to leave. So without waiting, I give you the floor, Marie Clotteau, who will present the regional bioeconomy strategy in Grand Est, in France. So you can talk from there, yeah.
I have a presentation normally, so
yeah.
if we can have the slides over there, that would be great.
It's 03. Do you want to check?
That's the one. Great. Okay. So hello everyone. So my name is Marie Clotteau and I'm working for the French Grand Est region, but I'm sure, of course, that everybody knows where it is. Okay, maybe a very few of you don't know where it is. So for those who eventually don't know, this is the place. So this is between Strasbourg at the very eastern part. So this is where the European Parliament lies. So I hope that you know where it is. And on the western part, this is where we have the champagne that you can drink. So I hope that you know the place now. So this is typically a cross-border region because we've got Belgium just over there, we've got Luxembourg, we've got Germany and Switzerland. And we have decided to work a lot on bioeconomy. Why? Not because it's fancy, not because it seems really nice, but because we've got strength, we've got assets, and I have to say we've got place-based assets. This is the reason why we have decided to work at regional level on a dedicated policy. But what are these assets? The first one is that we've got farming and agriculture. We've got more than 80% of the area dedicated to agriculture and farming. Then we've got a lot of people working directly in that area. It's almost 7% of all the jobs, and this is growing and growing. And when I say that we've got some experts and people working in bioeconomy, I mean all along the supply chains. So I mean we've got farmers and foresters, but we've got also 7 territorial biorefineries, like Bazancourt-Pomacle, for those who know that. We've got some industrial forces with really large groups. We've got research and innovation assets, for instance, with the University of Reims Champagne-Ardenne, with Exebio Center dedicated to bioeconomy. We've got also some transfer technologies, and we've got more than 137 SMEs working directly on bioeconomy. So this is the reason why we have decided at regional level to work on bioeconomy. And in 2023, so 2 years ago, we have decided to update our strategy, and this is now called Ambition 2040. And I'm sorry, but I have kept it in French just because our strategy is based on 4 S, and if I put it in English, I'm sorry, it won't work anymore. So the first S, is for the food security. So the idea is to reduce the dependency and to build resilience and to have more dynamic rural territories. The second one is soil, air, and water health in order to promote healthier soils, protect biodiversity, and ensure the availability of water resources. So that's the second S. The third one is a source of bioproducts, because we want to develop bioproducts, biomaterials, proteins of the future, plant-based chemistry, and so on and so forth. And the 4S is energy sovereignty. So it's everything linked to the production of bioenergy. And thanks to that, we achieve the 5th S. We achieve to have more serenity. Isn't it beautiful? Yeah. So that's the idea. And the idea is also to maintain a hierarchy of usage between these different usages, according, of course, to the need and resources that we have in our area. This is not just a strategy. There are some fundings dedicated to the strategy. So this is just here a few numbers. I'm not going to spend too much time on it, but just to say that we've got more than 200 projects that we have supported. And you see also the investment, so it's quite a lot of money to show also the importance and strength of the bioeconomy within the region. But in order to structure also the region, we wanted also to develop the different supply chains. So how do we do that? In fact, we have done some contracts with some specific supply chains. So this is what we call contrat de filière. And we have done one with sustainable biofuels, one with plant fiber, one on bioinputs, one on chemical coming from the plants, one on proteins of the future. So the idea is not that this is a region alone by itself, that is developing some things. That's not the point. The point is really to work with all the actors together in order to structure the territory and to see together what we can do. So, as an example, now it's two at the same time. Okay, so the example of the plant fiber supply chain contract that we have done. So the idea is really to support natural fibers like wood, hemp, flax, nettle, or miscanthus grass. And the common objective is that the Grand Est becomes the valley for sustainable and locally produced plant-based fibers. And so we have decided together to do 13 concrete actions. And as you can see, I've just quoted a few actions, but the idea is to go again all along the supply chain. So from the production and harvest and storage to research, to the support to the industrial production, to biorefineries. So really to work on everything and not just on a single part of the supply chain. And here you can just see the number of actors, the 43, just a few of the 43 signatories who have signed that contract, meaning that, again, this is not something that is done alone. This is something that is done with the large industrial organization, the technology and transfer, the universities, and so on and so forth. And this is really important, this type of collaboration for us. But beyond the strategy, and beyond, I would say, this remains people who know about bioeconomy, people who are directly working on bioeconomy. But I'm not really sure that if you go outside, and I mean, if we can just ask the other participants who did not choose the bioeconomy workshop, I am not 100% sure that everybody knows what is bioeconomy. So what have we decided to do? We have decided to have a very large awareness-raising campaign. And we do that in different ways. The first one is that we do the month of bioeconomy. So it's not a day, it's not a week, it's a full month. And it's in September, so right now, you are in the month of bioeconomy in the Grand Est region. Isn't it beautiful? I think so. So the idea is what? The idea is to be aware of bioeconomy and to make it understood by a lot of people. So I'm not going to explain the figures of this edition because it's not over yet, but just last year, for example, we have done more than 22 events directly on stand during a big agricultural fair, which is Châlons-en-Champagne. We have done 15 conferences with policymakers, 13 roundtables, 9 open doors to visit directly the industries and the SMEs. 7 events for general public, like big kermesse, for the children, for instance, to understand what bioeconomy is, or some animation in schools, or some events also for job seekers. But the idea is that people, in general, normal people, could understand what bioeconomy is. And this year, for the 3rd edition, so this is in fact the pictures from 10 days ago, during the kermesse, and in fact where we have try to do some games with the children, like that, so they are looking for some object, or they are playing memory, and so just learning by playing and what is bioeconomy. And we have also decided to launch a big campaign on bioeconomy. So you can see, if you go in Strasbourg or Châlons or whatever, in my region right now, you can see 1 out of these 10 ads. So basically the concept is, what it is bioeconomy? Bioeconomy, this is when you are putting your socks made by the hemp, which has grown in the field just close to you. And in Grand Est, nature creates the future. Or, on the other one, bioeconomy, this is when methanization, so the things coming from the rest of the agriculture, agriculture can do bioenergy, and thanks to biogas, you can put your kids to the bus and they can go to school. So that's the idea, to see that bioeconomy can be useful. And this bioeconomy strategy goes hand in hand with another strategy that we have, which is called le Pacte des Ruralités. I'm sorry, I'm saying it in French, but it means Rural Pact, basically. But I am insisting on the French because on the French we've got an S at rurality, meaning that we are taking into account the diversity of rural areas. And so this policy dedicated to rural areas, this is 100 key measures with 800 million euros invested directly for rural areas. Of course, not all the measures are dedicated to bioeconomy, but some of them are directly linked to bioeconomy. And the goal of that policy is really to preserve the quality of life, to have a protected environment and local agriculture, to connect rural territories and improve mobility, and to increase the attractiveness of rural inhabitants. And this is just a couple of indicators of what we do have to try to link rural areas directly with bioeconomy. So if you have any question, I will be there, but I hope that it can inspire some of you to do more in bioeconomy, and otherwise you can go to Grand Est and we can see. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Marie, and thank you for the invitation to the month of September, which we are still in September, to go to the different events you have mentioned, you have presented. So I have noted several important aspects about the ambition 2030, updated in 2023, also the importance of the place-based production and added value, things that we are going to talk in the working groups, contrast with supply chains, which is an important point. These awareness-raising campaigns to understand better, or to understand what bioeconomy is, and also, finally, the linkage with the Rural Pact des Ruralités. So thank you very much for your presentation. We will come back. You stay with us so if there are any additional discussion you want to have with Marie, it's still possible after. So I will give the floor now to Michael Wilde, who will talk about the biodistrict in the Netherlands. So, and Michael Wilde is working for the organic embassy in the Netherlands. So you have the floor, Michael.
Thank you very much. Thank you for inviting me to speak here today. It's my first Rural Pact Conference, so I also want to thank you guys for making me feel so welcome. It makes me proud to be a European. That's a sentiment that I really have today and yesterday, so thanks for that. What I'm going to talk to you today is biodistricts. Now, we've just had a lot of presentations about the bioeconomy, which is all about plant-based, beautiful products, circular. But when it comes to biodistricts, I'm talking about organic farming, organic districts. So let's just be clear on that. So before we talk about organic districts and what that can mean for rural communities, it's important just to get clear what is organic. And I think the most important is the little flag to the left there, the green flag that you see, because it's, again, something that bonds us within the European community. We have a very strong organic symbol, the green leaf, which says that a product is organic, and whether you're in Albania, in the Netherlands, in Sweden, in Portugal, a product that is produced in that way can be sold across the market. So it's a wonderful European trademark as far as I'm concerned. It's an official term. It guarantees that a product is organically produced. Everything is embedded in EU legislation, very, very important. And the claim organic or biologisch, or in the terms in your language, is all protected. So nobody can do that if it's not organic. The rules apply to all the chains in the production chain. It can be recognized by the quality label, as mentioned. Each member has controlling bodies, so these are independent controlling bodies that also certify the products. And therefore, it's the most controlled food that you'll consume in Europe, because we have the EU regulations, plus all the food safety regulations that we have in Europe as well. For me, far more important than the rules, obviously these are essential, is the fact that the principles of organic farming, they are global principles that we share. And as far as I'm concerned, when we look at the future of food and agriculture in Europe, these principles are extremely important also to take with us. These are the principles of care, health, ecology, and fairness. And I've made added the chef there to make you remember it: care, health, ecology, and fairness. If we look at the future of our rural areas, if we look at the future of agriculture in Europe, I think it's crucial that we don't just look at rules and regulations and what they're doing in the States or in China, but we take these principles with us, because this helps us build a true sustainable system where it's all about health, not just the health of you and me as a consumer, but also the health of the farmer, the health of the animals, the health of the soil, the health of our ecosystem. Ecology, the absolute dedication that we should be farming in harmony with nature instead of trying to combat nature. Very, very important. Fairness, the aspect that when we talk about agriculture, it has to be fair. The farmers need to deserve a fair price, and everybody in the supply chain needs to have a fair income so that we have a sustainable future. And then care, which is about the care for the soil, the care for our environment, the care for our biodiversity. So we always look at the broader perspective of food production. So these principles are always very important for me to talk about. So what was for us the big game changer is 20th of May 2020, when the European Commission, and I'm really glad during lunch I spoke to somebody from the Commission, announced the Green Deal. We've all heard about the Green Deal. There's a lot of things happened. There's a lot of things perhaps going not as fast as we would like. But the Green Deal was crucial for the organic movement, because within the Green Deal you have the farm to fork strategy, which is a strategy that says, amongst other things, that 25% of agricultural land in Europe needs to become organic by the year 2030. For us in the Netherlands, that was a game changer. Holland is very much right at the bottom of the list of organic agriculture. But now, because the European Commission has set a goal, and the Netherlands as a EU member state wants to commit to that goals, they have set a goal of 15%. I'm not going to translate everything. I've been involved in organic farming in the Netherlands now for 20 years, and for the first time we were taken seriously by the Dutch government, because now the Dutch government has to also achieve this goal. And they made this plan. This is the action plan. It says growth of organic production and consumption. But the most important thing is on the right here. This is an official Dutch government document. It basically confirms that organic is it's good for healthier soils, it helps clean water, it ensures less emissions, it is better for biodiversity, and it's better for animal welfare. So for the first time, I didn't have to go on the radio and defend organic and say, yes, it is good for climate or for welfare. Now I could say, listen, this is not just me saying this is the Dutch government that's saying this is the European Commission saying this. So let's talk about how we are going to build organic instead of having to defend organic, and that is a big, big difference. So I'm very happy. Again, with the Commission, this is just one big love story for me to the Commission, for helping us, certainly in the Netherlands, move forward on organic farming. So I'm getting to the organic district, but I just want to, set the context. So the market actions is the most important ones, because if we don't grow the market, there's no use in having all these farmers switch to organic farming practices. So we really need to focus on market practices. The most important ones are organic regions, which I'll talk about. But also about the fact that the Dutch government will be buying organic products themselves for 25%, and that's having a huge influence on, let's say, the taxation services, the prison, the provinces, and we're now also trying to commit the 1,000 largest employers of the Netherlands also to commit to this 25%. So it's having an impact because it's showing by example. So although the exact quantity of food that the Dutch government buys is perhaps limited, the fact that they're showing this by example is a very important point. And obviously the supermarkets are crucial in this. 75% of all the products organic sold in the Netherlands goes via the supermarkets. So we've been working on strategies to get the supermarkets on board, and we have 6 supermarkets now with an organic strategy. So this is moving fast, and we are showing results of 50% growth in the last 5 years. So now the organic regions, and again, I'm very, very happy to be talking about this at this Rural Pact Conference, because it's so much more than getting farms to switch to organic and buying a little bit of organic here and there as a local municipality. An organic region, I've just put it here, is a defined geographical area where local governments, public institutions, new and the current organic farmers and growers, consumer organizations, healthcare, education authorities take concrete steps to purchase locally produced products. And there's a little bit more, which I won't talk about too much now. So it's mainly standing next to a farmer. You know, we are expecting so much from our farmers to move forward and to become more, take more attention for climate and biodiversity and soil. And then when they say, okay, so who's going to buy these products for that added value? Then we say, well, yeah, that's your problem. That's no longer the case. Now we are standing as a community around those farms and say, okay, we want to support you and we'll also be there in those tough times. We're going to guarantee a certain amount of quantities regarding volume. We're going to give you guarantees on pricing, but we see you as a very important player in keeping our rural landscapes vibrant and healthy. So what are the advantages? You can basically split them into 4 groups. You know, the biggest advantages are obviously ecological advantages. This is the reason why organic farming is so embedded in the Farm to Fork strategy and the Green Deal. So we're talking about climate, not just the reduced emissions, but the fact that it's climate smart agriculture. We're in the middle of our climate crisis, so we need resilient farmers, resilient soils, and organic is, I mean, there are more, let's say, sustainable roads to Rome, but organic is a very good one. So climate smart, biodiversity, healthy living soils, less nitrogen emissions and better water quality. Very, very clear. The second one are more the social aspect. You know, it's healthier for the farms and the growers. Often I have to have a debate about whether organic is healthier or not. And then I say, well, you know, can we talk about the health of the farmers? And then they say, no, this is about the health of the consumers, which I think is a ridiculous discussion because we talk about health, we talk about the broader health of farmers. So let's have that. Healthier for the local population, better for animal welfare. It creates a much stronger connection between the cities and rural areas, which is the main reason we're here today. And there's a big trust in the organic label, so you don't get the greenwashing. We hear terms like regenerative farming, nature-inclusive farming, climate-friendly farming. None of these are certified or controlled or checked. So, you know, there's a lot of great work being done, let's be very clear about that, but there's also a lot of greenwashing going on there. So then we have the economic aspect. You know, research shows that organic farmers have a better income, and we know that it's good for local economy and tourism. And also, this is again why we're here today and so proud of that EU organic label. You know, we help to support EU and national plans, but it also helps local municipalities get to their plans and reach their goals. So how do we measure organic regions? So what we did in Germany, there's, for example, some very vibrant organic communities in Sweden as well. Italy is a great example, but there was no real way of measuring it, of analyzing this. It was all done a lot on feeling. So we said, let's have at least these 8 pillars which are crucial, whereas the first 3 are the most important ones. So if you want to have a success factor, you need to have a good collaboration with local government and municipalities. It's crucial that you have that. You cannot just have a region where you get together with the farmers and say, yes, we're an organic region, if you don't have local government, the provinces, etc. with you. So you need to get into the heads of those civil servants and find out what are your plans, and then see how an organic region can help achieve the plans that those civil servants have. Like Kennedy said, don't ask what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. It's a very simple one. Obviously, you need a very good, diverse organic network. So, and enthusiasm is very important in this regard. So we're asking farmers to come out and to talk to civil servants, to explain what they're doing and how it's contributing to those goals. So that's a crucial. And the third most important one with these other 2 is a connection with other local NGOs, with other relevant organizations. Oh, wow, that's really quick. I have this feeling that the others had much more time, but I'm going to go with you. Okay, so those are the 3 most important ones, but obviously we want to connect with local companies. We want to connect with the hospitality and tourism industry. We see a lot of possibilities with education institutions, health and care and institutions, and then events and tourism. So just an example how we measure that. This is Barony, which is an area around Breda in the south of the Netherlands. We see there's a lot of support from local municipalities. We see a really great organic community. We have good contacts with the NGOs. We see the catering, they're not that as big as we would like, so that's working. The Horeca, which is the restaurant sector, it's a bit smaller. Well, I'm just going to go through this. But so in this way you can measure it and you can make a sort of analysis and then see, okay, where do we need to work on and what's the next level. So we're working in as quartermasters for the organic regions in 6 areas of the Netherlands. My goal today is to connect with much more of you guys and to see how we can expand this within the European umbrella organization IFOAM and connect these organic districts throughout this fantastic continent we call Europe, which is making me feel so warm and happy. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Michael, and I'm happy that it's your first but not your last Rural Pact event attendance, because I like very much your presentation, and now I'm convinced I have understood what is a biodistrict. This is already something important, but also the success factors and the importance that it's supported at least by the governments, the local governments, but also other key stakeholders, like in the spirit of the Rural Pact. So this is something quite important. So many thanks for your presentation. We are a bit behind, so I'm going to give the floor to Katrien Dejongh, who will present the place-based approach in the Netherlands, which is also based on the government strategy in a way, but you will tell more than I'm talking. So Katrien Dejongh, you have the floor.
Thank you. I hope you had a nice lunch and that you're not too hungry, because I'm going to talk about food. My name is Katrien. I work for the government of Flanders and specifically the Flemish Land Agency. How does it work? It's Belgium. Okay, so the Flemish Land Agency is an agency under the Ministry of Environment, and amongst other, well, its main mission is to protect the Flemish countryside, and amongst others, we are responsible for rural development policy in Flanders. Within the Rural Development Unit, just as an introduction, for the moment we work on 3 axes: an economic axis, a social one, and more an ecological one. And our main instrument is LEADER, but we also do some call for proposals. And this year we also started a trajectory to develop a Flemish Rural Pact, and we hope and are very excited and hope we can sign a commitment engagement early next year on this. So I'm here to talk about food, because the transition to sustainable food systems is at the core of our rural development program. We have been financing a lot of leader projects on food, and last year we did an evaluation on these projects. The evaluation report was published this year. There were a lot of recommendations, amongst others, the need for a policy framework on food. As VLM, policy framework on food in Flanders are developed and are being developed at different levels. So a lot of cities have a dedicated food strategy, but there's also some provinces who have a food strategy, and in 2022 also the government of Flanders launched its Flemish food strategy, the Go for Food strategy. So it's not really vertical because one speaks to the other. It's not that there was first a Flemish level food strategy and then top down to the local level. So as the Flemish Land Agency, we work on this local level and we try to support municipalities to work on food-related topics and to work on a food strategy, thereby using a place-based approach. So for us, this place-based approach, you can see 8 elements there that are important for us. So of course, tailored to local needs, also promoting local engagements, also territorially embedded, etc., as you can see there. A very important element for us is also the strong rural-urban linkages, for instance, by reconnecting cities with rural areas and agricultural spaces through short supply chains. So these are elements that we try to promote in the local food strategies. And as said, the local municipalities for us are key actors there, and as a regional government, we try to support local municipalities in different ways. One of them is that we launched recently in September an accelerator for local food policy. It's a 3-year project that is commissioned by 3 government agencies and is carried out by a team of local food experts who will guide and support local municipalities, also in rural areas, on how to work around food-related topics and how to build a food strategy. So they will offer online labs, but also one-to-one mentoring sessions and networking events to inspire each other. This support is on specific food-related topics, like, for instance, food waste and food losses, or now in September on how can you as a municipality work with schools on healthy school meals, etc. So this is one way that we support local municipalities. Another way is by providing funding to local municipalities for to try out innovative concepts. And as an example, we have some projects on local food coordinators. I think in some countries it's also called food weavers or food facilitators or food directors. So it's a food director or a food coordinator is actually a person or a team of persons who connects all the food actors in a certain area and build alliances between them. And then, of course, we also try to inspire our local municipalities by providing some inspirational guides or guidebooks. So we have elaborated cookbook for circular food strategies that was developed in a 3-year trajectory, also with over 150 municipalities. And it starts from a system approach to food in a territory. And another inspirational guide that we have developed together with municipalities is a guide on food landscapes at a rural-urban interface. Food landscape or foodscapes is also sometimes used as a terminology. So the open space area, often in peri-urban or rural areas, on the fringe of urban areas, where we try to combine local food production with landscape enhancement, climate adaptation, etc. So if you receive the presentation, you can, I've always added a link to these guides. So to finish, from our experience, we have a number of recommendations also on this connection between food, territory, and people. One of those is, of course, to strengthen locally embedded food systems and strategies, promote short food supply chains, to keep the value in rural areas, but also to connect rural with urban areas. The role of public procurement, we also heard it, I think, earlier, to stimulate the bioeconomy, but also for food and healthy food and sustainable food, public procurement is key. Another recommendation is the fostering of collaboration across the whole value chain and strengthen these connecting roles, like these food facilitators. And then for Flanders, another hot topic also in the whole food debate is to secure and protect land for food. So there's the debate on public land for sustainable food production. So I hope these recommendations can also feed into the mini-group discussions. Thank you very much.